Hi, it's Dan Barrett from the Greater Toronto Area Council, shouting out to the folks that are in for the PSAC National Convention, hoping that you're going to have a productive convention. So at our last GTAC meeting, we had asked for a orientation for the folks that are new to convention, and so along that vein, a webinar was supposed to have been generated. So for those who couldn't attend that webinar, we are generating this video just as a quick aid. Number one is basically speaking at the mic. So if you don't speak at the mic, a lot of the recommendations of the committees will probably go through. However, there's a lot of resolutions that don't ever hit the floor because of time constraints and things like that. And if there is a resolution that you really want to speak to, especially ones that you or the folks that you represent had a hand in drafting, then it's important that you get up there and actually speak to that, especially if it looks like the resolution might run into some trouble. So make sure you have a script ready. You're only going to have 3 minutes to talk. Normally at the PSAC convention, you're going to have some kind of a countdown. So the first thing you're going to have to do when you get up to the mic is you're going to have to identify yourself. So name, your delegate number. So most of the times they're going to start the clock right away. You may want to start off by asking a question, which is normally not counted on the clock. So you can ask a particular question about the committee's response and about the particular issue itself, so you can get a little bit of clarification, especially for folks who may not be familiar with a particular issue that a resolution might be addressing. So that's one really good way to help emphasize what you're actually trying to speak to. And then speak from the heart. And again, you're dealing with activists here, so for the most part, they're familiar with providing context, implication, and an action. But so you have to make sure that you, at the end of your talk, you do actually specify which way you want people to vote. It's a good practice to basically start off by saying, I rise in favor of this resolution, or I rise opposed to the resolution, and then you provide a little bit of context, a little bit of implication. If you can provide a personal story, that normally helps a lot, because a lot of these things are just academic, or it could be dismissed on this fake news sort of mentality if they're just simply a bunch of facts. So make sure you put your points in a personal context so that it emotionally resonates with folks, because at the end of the day, the majority of the decisions that are made tend to be on an emotional level and less on a fact-based, evidence-based sort of decision-making mechanism. So, for example, if you're asking for another dime to be spent, the primary reflex to that is no. So you want to make sure that you actually, if you're actually talking to a relation, especially one that deals with money, that you actually indicate the kind of expenses that your component or your local or the PSAC in general is going to incur if they don't go down this particular road that a resolution is recommending. Because a resolution is really giving, a situation where you've got a problem, and it's trying to identify what that problem is and then propose a proper solution. So make sure that you really understand that the problem that's cited in that resolution does actually exist, does actually have implications to you and or to the group that you represent, and that basically you're going to be able to speak to that issue properly. The other side of the coin that you need to kind of understand is basically the general rules of order. Really, you need to take a proper course on that one. However, there is one rule of order that you folks really need to understand, and that's for resolutions, again, that look like they're never going to see the light of day. So for those resolutions, they tend to get kicked back to the Alliance Executive Committee, and they'll make the decision on the resolution as whether or not it's going to go forward. And in most of the cases, those resolutions have already been voted on as no by a committee, so they'll most likely the Alliance Executive Committee are going to vote with whatever the committee that reviewed it was. The resolutions that don't see the light of day that are not recommended by the committee, those are the ones you really got to look out for, and you need to basically bring those to the floor if at all possible. So there is a technique that has to be employed to kind of bring those kind of priority sort of resolutions to the floor, and you might want to talk to, if you don't know how to do this, you basically need to get a notice of motion in front of the committee in order to basically determine if the order of resolutions that are going to be considered in any particular day can be resorted, and so in those kind of cases you want to try and reach out to staff and see if you can't have them help you, but you're going to need a mover, a seconder, and it's not an easy deal to do, so you're going to have to network and get people's support behind you before any kind of rejigging of a schedule is going to happen. So you can reach out to the staff. They'll help you out with getting notices of motion in the queue, and hopefully getting a priority type of resolution that may not have been put in by a particular committee, put that on the floor so that it can be properly debated and deliberated upon. There's one other one I wanted to quickly touch on, so that'll bring my concepts there to 3 for you. And the last one is if a resolution is actually defeated, and so that's a resolution that maybe the committee voted down, and that resolution to reject was just rubber stamped. But if that does happen, you're going to have to find 2 people who voted for that resolution who decided to change their mind to make a motion to reconsider. And again, it's like reordering the docket sort of thing. So you need to really carefully consider how you have to get a notice of motion in there at the beginning or just before a break, and have that motion come up so that it could be properly debated. And that's a hard one, because you have to get 2 people who voted for the resolution to come up and say, I changed my mind, and they have to more or less say why they changed their mind. So good luck with that one. But if you're really committed to a particular resolution, it behooves you to sort of try at the very least to make sure that, again, the interests of the folks that sent you to the convention are actually represented by you. So make sure you speak up, make your voice matter more, and on behalf of the Greater Toronto Area Council, good luck and have a great convention. Thank you.